You get those 75, 100 people pulling in the same direction, and it's like, it's magic. TV is magic when you make that happen.
What's up, y'all? I'm AJ Andrews here with Joe Davis.
And we're here in the locker room at the DIRECTV studio talking about our unique experiences around professional baseball and softball.
Yes. Joe, did you know that you can watch your MLB games anywhere, anytime with the DIRECTV app?
I confess I did know that the DIRECTV app is your home for MLB action anywhere, anytime.
So stick around. This is Locker Room Confessions.
So about a decade as a pro at this point. Is that
Yes,
blown
sir.
by or what?
Mentally it's blown by, but physically it has not. Yeah,
right.
I can definitely feel those 10 years. It's such a privilege though, especially as a woman in sport, being able to play professionally. You know, the opportunity isn't as readily available as it may be for men. I mean, I feel like even when I was playing softball, the thought of saying I want to be a professional softball player wasn't something that you hear little girls say. But now you ask a little girl, what do you want to be when you grow up? And her response to being, I want to be a professional softball player, that is a proof of the leaps and bounds that softball has grown as a sport. So I feel like I'm playing not just for myself, but for the girls that come after me.
That's really awesome. So a decade as a pro.
Yeah.
Where did it begin for you? Let's put it that way.
So I remember my first first time I played softball was 11 years old. And I went to make a diving catch. And as I caught the ball, I slid like it was a slip and slide. And so from then I was like, oh, this is the game for me. You know, people always ask, how did softball become the sport that you stuck with for the long haul? And I'm like, I don't know. All I can think of is maybe that slip and slide that I went on when I was 11 years old, and imagining how much fun the rest of my career could be. It's so funny that that's how my love for the game started, and what I'm most known for now is diving catches. What about you? Your first memory of loving baseball, what was it?
Going to games at Wrigley Field as a kid. I grew up in Michigan, but that was a day trip, easy trip. Skip school, go to a day game, you know, vivid memories of walking up the steps and seeing the field for the first time, being in awe, watching and listening to Harry Carey as a young kid, and I remember where I was, Kerry Wood's 20 strikeout game. So a lot of the memories had to do with Wrigley and the Cubs on WGN, with the national pull they had because of WGN.
Whose jersey did you wear to those games?
I love Sammy Sosa. Ryan Sandberg was playing second base. I had a Ryan Sandberg poster on my wall. Mark Grace as the first baseman. You probably feel like as a player, there's not one person you modeled yourself after, but you're like pieces of a bunch, right?
Absolutely. Natasha Watley is definitely the first person that I feel like I really gravitated towards. Professional softball player, Olympian. She played at UCLA. And I remember vividly watching Natasha come onto the TV. And at this point, I had just started playing softball, so I had no idea or thought that I was going to take this further, right? And so I see Natasha playing, and it was the first time I had seen a black softball player, because on my softball team, I was the only black athlete on my team. It made me believe, oh, like there's more that I could do. It really speaks volumes to the power of that representation. My favorite thing that I realized playing was those young girls that would stand in the berm waiting for our autographs. Didn't care at all how we performed, at all. All that matters is that you're there and you're showing that it's possible. And to me, that's the coolest part about representation. And for you, the announcers, what made you say, from being at Wrigley, watching these baseball players, what made you say, I want to talk about them. I want to be the person that announces them every day?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it was. I just know as early as you start thinking about, I want to be this or that when I grow up, I knew what I wanted to do. I grew up around sports. I was aware of, you know, wow, this guy's voice makes it feel like a big game, and conscious of the guy calling the game as much as the game itself. My whole goal as a player was to go to Notre Dame, to play football at Notre Dame. The recruiting pitch was, hey, you got a chance to be our starting quarterback right away, but you also can announce the basketball games.
Oh, nice.
So I was able to pair those things and get off to a good start. Yeah, I'm in. Well, I mentioned the locker rooms, clubhouse, and baseball. What's it been like being a part of those environments, and what have you learned from being a part of that culture inside there?
Failure. We all think that failure is the opposite of success, right? We don't want to fail. We do all the things we can to avoid failure, to get around failure. I realize failure isn't the opposite of success, but it's a part of it. I use the acronym, and I tell when I work with young kids a lot, FAIL is just the first attempt in learning. Being able to transform that perspective and transform my mindset on that, it applies not just in sports, right? It applies to your day-to-day life. So I could fail twice and my success be right here, or I could fail 10 times and my success be up here. Are there any locker room secrets that you've been a part of that you would be able to share? Maybe your favorite celebration?
It's just the opportunity to cover these guys on an everyday basis and be in that locker room and know that that's their sacred space, that's probably what strikes me. So we're only talking about you so far as a player, but you've crossed over a little bit into my world, huh? Doing a little hosting.
And how?
Yeah, how you liking it?
It's been awesome. It's been amazing. I think that being able to give my perspective from being an athlete to now talking to athletes, having these conversations to where you can get to know the athlete as the person, not just the athlete, because I think we all appreciate that.
Yeah,
so,
I'm always trying to remind myself of that when I'm doing games, that these are people before they're players.
Yeah, talked about being able to relate earlier, right? The representation, being able to feel like it's something that's attainable. I think it's really cool when you do humanize them.
Yeah.
Jessica Mendoza is actually the first person that inspired me to get into television. It's like, Asia, no, but you'd be really good. You like being in front of the camera, you speak well. And so I went back to school, got my master's degree in broadcast journalism.
Yeah.
So not just as an athlete, but also being able to cover the athletes. It's been a lot of fun.
I would imagine it felt pretty natural right away, just knowing your personality.
I mean, it's like anything with repetition. The more reps you get at something, the better you are. I think the best mentality I ever have is that there's always room for improvement and to get better.
Yeah, anytime I talk to young broadcasters, I tell them, especially in baseball where you're gonna have in the big leagues 162 games, if you look at each one of those games as a chance to get a little bit better, you know, from game 1 to game 140, from game 1 to game 162, you know, I hope I never lose that perspective.
You not only are an amazing broadcaster, announcer, but you've been recognized with an Emmy. What did that feel like?
You know, in TV, there's so many people putting a production on. It's a crew of 75 people that are putting those shows on. So that for me is the best part. And being around sports my whole life, still feeling like I'm part of a team. You get those 75, 100 people pulling in the same direction, and it's magic. TV is magic when you make that happen. So you've been playing professionally for a decade, wonderful college career before that. Greatest honor?
My greatest honor playing softball would definitely be when I won a Gold Glove. I was the first woman to win a Rawlings Gold Glove. To me, it's such a huge honor, not just because I'm being recognized for all the hard work that I've put in, but it's also just recognizing women and allowing us to be able to be in the same playing field as men. You open that one door and you see so many other doors that are waiting to be knocked down as well. It's so powerful being able to be one of the people in history that are able to inspire young girls to now say, I want to be the first, or I'm going to be the next. Well, I really enjoyed this conversation.
Me too.
The locker room secrets, I really feel like we've unveiled the secrets, the things that really make us who we are in sport and why it is that we are doing what we do today.
We touched all the bases.
We touched all the bases.
I think I'm out of baseball and softball puns though.
I can keep going.
I figured you probably could. All right, I got to get back to the bus, on the road with the team, but if you want to watch like a pro, DIRECTV has you covered, because DIRECTV is your front row seat to MLB.
Thanks for watching, and make sure you press that like button.